So to explain how to play Motif, the first thing I'm going to do is explain how the movement of pawns and how adding pawns to the board works in a made-up example. Then I'm going to explain how to begin the game, how to play it, and how the game ends, and ultimately the conditions to win. There are two parts to play Motif. The first ones are the pawns, and the second one are the squares on the board. Every turn you're going to grab a pawn and add it to the board. When you add it to the board, you're going to change the color of the square to the color of your pawn, like so. Every turn you're going to repeat the same action. So let's say we're on the next turn. This time I'm going to grab a new pawn and I'm going to add it to the board. And when I do that, I'm going to change the color of the square to the color of the pawn, like before. Now I have to move all the other pawns of my color that are already on the board. So in this example here, I already have a pawn on the board, so I can grab it and move it to any other square. Movement is lateral, which means that you can move as often as you want in any direction, but it can't be a diagonal movement. So it can move in any of the squares in this section, but this pawn cannot move to the three squares that are here because they are blocked by the three golden pawns. I can't reach this specific area because I can't move diagonally and I can't jump over pawns. So if I were to move this one, I'm going to move it to an area like this. Now notice how when I'm moving the pawns, there's two sides to the pawns, and I've been alternating between both sides. There's a little dot on one side, and the other side doesn't have a dot. This helps me track which pawns I've moved on the board. Now the other thing is that when I add a pawn to the board, I can only add to areas where the already existing pawns can reach. For example, if I were to add a new pawn to the board, I wouldn't be able to do it in this area because none of my pawns can reach this area. So I can place the pawn on whichever other square except squares that can't be reached by already placed pawns. So in this situation, I'll put it here. Now I have to move the other pawns that are already there. I'm going to move this here. I'm going to move this one like this. And there you go. The game starts with a board with all white squares, and each player has 6 pawns of different color. Players will alternate between turns. Each turn someone's going to add a pawn to the board and move the already existing pawns on the board. Then the other player is going to do the exact same thing on their turn. Players are going to do this up until all the squares on the board are colored with either yellow or black. The player with the most amount of their color on the board wins.